It's a matter of life and death, and that's not hyperbole. It's a matter of life and death. This could be the worst storm to hit Florida in over a century. And God willing, it won't be, but that's what it's looking like right now. Immediately approved the pre-landfall emergency declarations in Florida. This is the second one in a week, the second time in a week, and there have been two before that, by the way. I sent FEMA Administrator Criswell down to Florida yesterday to work intensively with the state and local partners as we prepare to deploy more resources. She's going to continue that work between Florida and North Carolina in the coming days. I'm calling on the airlines and other companies to provide as much service as possible to accommodate evacuations and not to engage in price gouging, to just do it on the level. Most importantly, I've urged everyone currently located in Hurricane Milton's path to listen to local officials and follow safety instructions. You all have been reporting on the highways, shoulders being opened, everybody's heading out. And if you're under evacuation orders, you should evacuate now. You should have already evacuated. It's a matter of life and death, and that's not hyperbole. It's a matter of life and death. So let me add that FEMA has provided 300 ambulances to move people who can't move themselves out of healthcare facilities. And while we prepare for Hurricane Milton, we're still surging resources in North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee to respond to Hurricane Helene. And it's real. The impact is still there. And we're going to leave, we're not going to leave until the job is done. It's going to take time, and before it's all over, it's going to take tens of billions of dollars to get it done. And Kamala and I are keeping all of you in our prayers out there.
Real quick. Yeah. Well. Damn. Hit the sun. Holy crap. All right. When you get a chance, can you grab my wallet too? Thanks. Gotta keep these pockets zipped.
Milton underwent what we call rapid intensification. In this case, it was extreme rapid intensification, one of the fastest rates of turning into a Category 5 from a tropical storm that we've ever seen in human history. How does it happen? Well, you need a period of somewhat quiet wind shear. Wind shear is kind of like the winds pushing at the storm from the side. If they are pushing very strong above and not so much below, it can sort of tilt the storm over or start to tear it apart. So the wind shear was pretty quiet. But the other thing that was happening is that sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico right now are near record highs. It's kind of like Milton was sitting at a red light and the light turned green and it was able to hit the accelerator and push it all the way down to the floor. It accelerated very quickly all the way up to a category 5, which is sort of the physical limit that the atmosphere can allow a storm like Milton to grow to. And that wouldn't have happened in a world where the sea surface temperatures were cooler. These extremely warm sea surface temperatures provide the fuel necessary for the rapid intensification that we saw taking place to occur. So rapid intensification is something that is becoming more common in a warming world. We know that as human beings increase the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, largely by burning fossil fuels, we are increasing the temperature all around the planet. And in certain places like the Gulf of Mexico, temperatures are actually growing faster than around other places on the planet over the ocean. And that means that there's a lot more fuel available to these storms than there would have been if we hadn't burned greenhouse gases. There's going to be incredible damage associated with this storm on the order of billions of dollars. We've been seeing with Hurricane Helene that, there were billions of dollars of damages there. And in fact, if we look over the historical period, say the last 45, 50 years, we see that billion-dollar disasters in the United States have been dropping from around 60 to 100, every 60 to 100 days 50 years ago, down to every 9 days here in 2024. So every 9 days, the United States is facing $1 billion disaster associated with, weather conditions that have been influenced by climate change. One of the things we're most concerned about with a storm like Milton is the storm surge. It's hard to say to what extent any individual impact will be the most damaging or the most concerning, but generally speaking, when people are hurt in storms like this, it's because of water. Extreme amounts of water, storm surge is the primary driver of danger.
We're now in October. This is after the historic peak of the Atlantic hurricane season. And yet today we're seeing all the reports about Hurricane Milton, which is posing an extremely serious threat to Florida, which obviously is a state which is still reeling from the devastation of Hurricane Helene less than 2 weeks ago. And Hurricane Helene caused a death toll of more than 160. Milton, according to the latest forecasts from the U.S. National Hurricane Center, will likely make landfall in Florida Wednesday night, local time. There are currently 3 hurricanes spinning in the Atlantic. Milton, we've just heard about. Leslie, somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic. And Kirk, which we in Europe are going to hear about in the next couple of days. Kirk is heading towards Europe from the US. It's currently a Category 1 status. It will weaken and become what in the meteorological community is called an extratropical cyclone or an ex-tropical cyclone. The forecast tracks have varied in the past couple of days. The latest forecast has that the major impacts will be in France, and Météo France is forecasting that Kirk will be a dangerous storm, wind gusts of up to 100 kilometers an hour and very, very heavy rainfall.